Hi y'all, this is House Guest and I am your host, Kenzie Elizabeth. Think a Gen Z wannabe Martha Stewart meets Dolly Parton trying to live in a Nancy Meyers movie in her 20s. We talk all about life, relationships, navigating your 20s, closing at the bars, or waking up at 5 a.m. depending on our vibe that week. Ultimately, living our best lives and figuring it out along the way. So come hang out. Sometimes I have guests on who do really cool things, some of my best friends, or it's just me and my house that I spend way too much time in. So let's get into the show. Hello, house guest. Welcome to my home. This week, y'all are coming over for book club. We read the most incredible book. It is the MEL Robbins Let Them Theory, okay? This is a life-changing book. If you guys didn't read the book, it doesn't matter. Still listen to the episode because what we are talking about that Mel has taught us is actually life-changing, okay? And we are co-hosting today with Lauren Elizabeth. I have single-handedly brought that woman out of podcast retirement. You guys are all welcome, okay? It's gonna be a really fabulous time. I hope you guys enjoy. Stay tuned to the end of the episode and I'll be announcing our next book club pick. Spoiler alert, it is such a good one. I found out I was recording this about 12 hours ago and I think about this episode like every single second of that 12 hours. It's very, very good. If y'all are watching on YouTube, be sure to subscribe and comment below what time of day it is that you guys are watching. If you're listening on audio, go to YouTube. And also, leave a nice rating and review. I would really appreciate it. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoy today's episode. Come on in. Welcome to my home. Okay, time for book club, y'all. We read The Let Them Theory by MEL Robbins. If y'all didn't read it, it doesn't really matter because this is a nonfiction book and we're really kind of going off of her different theories with the book. The Let Them Theory is essentially just let them. And then she doesn't stop there. Let them and then let me. So it's like you don't control them. Let them do whatever they're going to do. Release control of the situation and then let me and, I'll do my control of the situation on my own, not on the other people, which is a very difficult thing to do when you're a firstborn daughter, such as myself and also Lauren. I was fearful going into this book that it was just going to be like, let them. But I liked the specific areas that she goes into and I actually thought the book was an incredible, incredible book. I'm going to give you guys the actual definition of the let them theory on before we invite Lauren in. MEL Robbins' Let Them Theory is a simple mindset shift that encourages letting go of control over others' actions and focusing instead of your own response. The concept is rooted in the idea that you cannot control what others do or think, unfortunately, and trying to do so creates unnecessary stress and frustration. By adopting the let them attitude, you allow others to make their own choices, whether it's not inviting you somewhere, not texting you back, or behaving in a way that you don't agree with without taking it personally. This approach emphasizes personal freedom and mental peace as it helps you detach from the actions of others and focus on what you can control, your own emotions, decisions, and well-being. I like that it doesn't just stop at the let them theory, let them. It's talking about all of the ways that you are wasting so much energy and it's very inefficient to try to control all these other situations, which the second that I'm like, okay, I'm wasting time, it's a way easier thing for me to conceptualize. So anyways, without further ado, let's welcome our book club co-host, Lauren Elizabeth. Lauren Elizabeth, Chicago's favorite girl ever. Kenzie Elizabeth, sister of Kenzie Elizabeth, twin, bestie, avid reader, part-time bully of people who aren't doing what she's doing in that exact moment. And then the next day she'll switch on you and then she'll bully you for the opposite thing. It's totally fine though.
So true. It's like you're either with me or you're against me.
Yeah. And you're either with yourself or against yourself too. You turn on your own self really quickly.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, so we are gathered here today for book club. Lauren and I read the MEL Robbins Let Them Theory. Let's just start off what we thought about the book. Okay, I have a lot of things to say, and I feel like I'm definitely gonna be a bigger fan of the book than you are. I just felt that from our energy over the past couple of weeks. I was feeling that from you.
It's not that I'm not a big fan of the book. It's more so that I think it's actually at its core, genuinely how I've lived my life over the past couple years. So to me, it wasn't this aha light bulb moment of whoa, I've never tried this or thought about this. I'm yeah, no, 100%. It was more so just kind of cool to hear different anecdotes and examples and different ways of kind of packaging it and wording it, but it's not a concept that I'm unfamiliar with. And then I got to expand on it a little bit. But I wasn't oh my God, shook to my core. because I do genuinely like kind of already think like that, which I think is a good thing though. It's not like a bad thing. I'm like, oh my God, like, yeah, like me and Mel Robbins, like we know what's up.
Our girl Mel.
Like she gets me.
We should name her Mel Elizabeth. She'd be just like us.
Mel Elizabeth Robbins.
Mel Elizabeth Robbins, welcome to the show. Okay, I actually feel similarly. This is not a concept that was like brand new. Honestly, I was impressed by the book because going into it, I was like, the let them theory, like, okay, you let them. Like, I was like, what are you going to expand on in the book? And I would say I, too, live this way for the most part, but I really liked when she expanded into other areas that I didn't necessarily think of. Like, I liked how we'll get into this, but I liked how she talked about it, like, relationally in different ways. And I wouldn't have necessarily thought, like, connected that to, like, the let them theory necessarily, but I did really like it. Like, I really enjoyed the book. It wasn't brand new information to me. But, Lauren, that's because you and I, we're self-help girlies. Like, we love that stuff.
That's true. I feel like it's also too, what I found so interesting was that a lot of it I thought could be such good advice for like girls in their 20s. But then at the same time, she was sharing all these anecdotes from when she was like in her late 30s and 40s. So as someone that's like in between both of those stages, I was like, this is so interesting because it's almost like it is for me, even though like she's kind of preaching it to the younger crowd. That's what it felt like sometimes. But then she's like realizing all this stuff when she's way older than me. So I'm like, oh, wow, this is such a cool time to be getting this information because, you know, she's talking about her daughters and raising them and they're so much older. And like my daughter's 16 months. And like, how lucky am I that like I get to like hear all this stuff and like learn it now as opposed to later, you know?
Lauren, when I got to the end, they had that anecdote for parents and I skipped over it and I had the moment of realization that like you would read that. Like, you're a parent.
No, I know. It was at the beginning too. She said, you know, when we say let them, like, obviously, like, you can't just like let your kids do whatever they want. So she's like, you know, like, we'll kind of like get back into that. And it's so funny because like in the moment I was like, oh my God, this is great. Like my daughter's like throwing shit around, like let her. And I'm like, I was like, oh wait, no, she said, I was like, oh wait, shit. No, she's like, you can't do that. So I was like, all right, fuck, whatever.
Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. I took some notes because I obviously come very prepared to book club. Unfortunately, the friend of mine, book club cards don't work for this because these are for fiction, but they are fabulous, fabulous. They actually would work for this if I like went through and just decided for some of them. But I really just like took some highlights and some points that I thought that we could touch on, okay? So if you guys are listening to this and you didn't read the book and you just like the Let Them Theory with Mel Robbins, essentially the Let Them Theory, really what it is like taking your power back, I would say. It goes back to like everyone else's actions, their responsibility. That's actually a direct quote from Mel Robbins, Lauren. It's not really my own thought.
I know. I'm just kind of like, is it? You give your power away. I feel like you kind of like, it's like a release too, no?
It is a release. So,
and let me.
Yes. Okay, this is what it says. The Let Them Theory is the key to taking your power back. Let them think negatively of you. We'll always care about what other people think, but we need to let them. That I actually really liked because there's times in my life where I genuinely do not give a fuck about what like anyone is saying. But then there's other times where I'm like more sensitive and like if you have like a falling out with a friend or a situation and then all of a sudden you're like kind of hyper aware and then it like starts to really bother you. It's human nature. Like we're all going to care to some degree what people think. Like you can't really avoid that. So I like this perspective of like allowing other people to have negative thoughts about you and just like whatever, who cares?
And well, it may be sad too, but it's so true. And she's like, no matter what, like people are going to think negative thoughts about you.
And I'm like, literally, why? Like, what do you mean?
I know. I'm like, I'm literally trying so hard and you're still going to think a negative thought about me. Like, are you kidding me? But it's like how you said, like taking your power back is like, no matter what you do, like people are going to think negatively, whether it's the people you love or like people that don't even know you. So just like having the quick 2 words to come in your head, like let them. And do you want to know how I started kind of actually really implementing this into my life before the book? Mm-hmm. TikTok. Because I started realizing that when you got like hate comments or like bad comments, it like made your video do better. So like that's when I started realizing, and then I started realizing that like Alex Earl like literally just like never would respond to like haters. And like she literally just lets them. And like you just let them comment like whatever. And so that I started doing this like months ago because I was like, wait, like why do I care so much? Like it's actually not a big deal. Like let them comment, like fill up my comment section, like let's go. Like you're actually helping me. And so that's when it actually started, is thanks to TikTok and Alex Earl. But now Mel Robbins has really packaged it for me.
I agree with that. Also, like, it's like no PR is bad PR or whatever, or no, there's no such thing as bad PR. Like, all the negative stuff actually, it really is boosting us in the algorithm.
Right. Yeah. It's good for when you're in our career field where people like talk shit about you all the time. So it's like, yeah, let them. It means I'm relevant.
When we let them, we take our power back and we're creating the life that we want with our goals, dreams, happiness. It's really about stopping wasting energy and reclaiming that into things that are worthwhile. So much of our time and energy is wasted on forcing other people to match our expectations. Lauren, this one is huge for me. Let them show you who they are. Stop acting why they do this. The question is, why do you want to be in a relationship with someone who does this to you? I think that's like so obvious when it comes to like dating and relationships, but even just friendships in general, like that is something that I've had to like come to grips with in the past year or so. Like people will show me like left, right, and center who they are, and I still am like, no, but like I believe the best in you. Like I see good, I see all this, and it's like, that's so stupid.
Well, it's because you realize, like, when I was reading the book, I was like, it's because, like, you love the person so much. And so, like, when you, like, think about it from that perspective and, like, it's not about, like, the negative stuff about, you know, whatever, like, we were just talking about. And, like for instance, like, one of my best friends, like, just, like, keeps making the same bad decision over and over and over again. And it drives me crazy. And I was listening to the book and like, you know, obviously I've learned the hard way that I have to like let her do whatever she wants because like we're adults, but it still like eats you up inside. So it's almost like the let them theory helps you manage your own emotions because like you're letting them either way because you can't control them no matter what. But then applying this knowledge makes it actually easier to handle and deal with, like watching someone you love, like show you who they really are when you want them to be a different version. And it's frustrating because you can't manage other people's emotions. And even just like with my fiance, like if he like, you know, we're like moving the other day and he's kind of like pouting, huffing and puffing. And I'm like, you know what, like let him be frustrated. Like I don't have to be like, are you okay? Do you need me to do something? Like, are you good? Like, is everything okay? I was like, you know, let him, like moving sucks. Like, it's not like, why am I going to like get like anxious that something's wrong, you know?
I also think like as Fitz has just joined us today, guys. I also think that as like an oldest daughter, this is so big for me because there's no one that I have tried to like control more than my siblings and I do it because I know exactly why I do it. I do it out of fear. Like I see them, not so much now, but I especially growing up and it really harmed our relationship. Like I would see them making bad decisions and they were bad decisions and they all regretted them and they all came back and they ended up being, or like hanging out with the wrong group of people was the biggest issue, or hanging out with the wrong group of people. And it would actually drive me up a fucking wall, Lauren. I could never just let it go. And as we got older and I realized like, okay, like they're actually people, I can't just control this, like let them do that. I would have been a happier person. That's the thing about the let them theory. It's like, it's almost like forgiveness in a way almost where like you forgive like actually for yourself so that you feel better. With that, like I would drive myself up a wall because I couldn't, like I did not have it in me to let them make these poor decisions. Like maybe they wouldn't have even wanted to make the bad decisions if I wasn't so against them. You know what I mean?
It's because you have the experience and you know what it feels like to make the bad decisions or to like be in the bad situation. And so you're like just trying so hard to protect them from that because you've experienced it before, you know, especially when you're younger, like you don't know any better. Like you're just trying so hard to control your siblings. But then let me tell you, when you get pregnant and you have a baby, you no longer give a fuck about what your siblings are doing on like the day-to-day choice basis. Like, of course, like I still like want to control my brothers and whatever, but it's like the time and energy, like I just don't have it anymore because like now it's all of a sudden figuring out like how to be a good mom because I don't want to have to like control my daughter. I have to let her like grow up, you know? But I think it's something with age where like the eldest daughter thing, if you let them, you can grow out of it for sure.
I think that makes sense. It's also like, I understand that Olive has like been around for a bit. I do. But like, it's just something about you being a mom that is still so crazy to me. It's just like wild.
It's crazy because it's like the concept of like growing up, like, hello, like this person's like really going to turn into like a 12-year-old, a 16-year-old, a 20-year-old. Like that's nutso. And I understand how aging works for sure. Still totally. Fucking bizarre. And I'm just like, whoa, like I'm your mom. Like this is so cool. Let's not fuck it up. Like number one goal every single day is I just want to make sure I don't fuck up being your mom. Everything else, I really don't care.
Number one goal. I think that's good.
As long as my daughter's okay, we're good.
Do you want to give your little anecdote about your audiobook that you wanted to talk about before we continue on with my points?
Yeah, I'm just like a little more like riled up about it because I decided not to read the book since Kenzie basically like was like, you have to read it on a certain timeline. And that made me really nervous.
Well, by the way, she did know that for weeks.
Well, instead of being like a good friend and being like, oh my God, no worries. Like you got this. Like, let me know. You're like, download Audible. I was like, okay. I was like, sure. And so I downloaded Audible and I listened to it on 1.5 to 1.7 speed because I'm a psychopath. And it just hilarious. Let me. To summarize, let them. I was like, oh my God. I was like, and see, I kept getting annoyed because I was like listening to it for so long. But then I'd like be not listening to it and like getting annoyed with other people. And I'd be like, let them. So it works. I just had her, Mel Robbins just drilled it in my fucking head.
No, it works. The woman's like really onto something. Okay, other points that I have. I actually have exact quotes that I would like to go through as well. Oh, I like this. When you try to navigate your life, trying to predict what people are going to think and say about you, you give your power away. That is like obvious, but I feel like this is a very tangible, very like influencer-esque thing. But you can always tell when someone is like reading their Reddit page and all of a sudden they're like acting very different. People just do that in real life, obviously. But like if you're consistently reading bad things about you and kind of like taking it more to heart and like you start to like live out of that point, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think like also once you realize that there's not been like a single, and I know you'll love this example, like for instance, Martha Stewart, like there's not been a single Netflix documentary or a regular, like whatever kind of documentary about someone that's like done every single thing right, been loved by every single person, like never made a mistake. It's always about some failure, comeback, proving people wrong. And so it's like, it just really goes to show that the only way to be successful is to like do whatever the fuck you feel like and like let them figure it out, like as you're figuring it out, you know what I mean? So I think that's why it's like this applies to me so much for content because it makes me like be more creative and just like put more out there because like whether it does well or it doesn't do well or people love it or people hate it, it's like you don't know unless you like put it out there. My question for you was, is there anything like even like not career related, because obviously I have an answer, that like came up for you when you were reading something, you're like, okay, maybe I like actually will try this thing even though I'm afraid of like what other people will think, or like do this, you know what I mean? Like do this thing that I've like stopped myself from doing.
Yeah, before I say that, to piggyback off what you just said, we have this obsession with like moral perfectionism right now too, and fear of failure, but in a way that we didn't really have a couple of years. I mean, honestly, prior to cancel culture, now it's, you can fail in a very personal way that has everything to do with your character. So I think now everyone is so terrified of like making the wrong move or making a misstep when like that's actually pretty normal. And that, like you were saying, like you don't get a documentary without that. Like you don't get to that point without doing that.
We all watch documentaries. It takes hindsight. Like it doesn't make sense till later. Like Martha Stewart, like in the moment going through this, everyone hating on her, like the press, everything. It's not like, oh, it's going to make a great documentary one day. It's like, oh no, like the world is ending. But then it just takes a little bit of time and a little bit of hindsight to be like, oh, like, look at me now, you know? So it's like, you might as well just fuck up.
Exactly. And like when you're so scared to, which like I will fall into that all the time, like you stop being yourself and you lose your personality. And that's like really what's going to get you, regardless of what you do, like that's really what's going to get you into the right doors for like your entire life. On things that I'm taking tangibly from the book, I wouldn't say that there's something I'm not acting on currently. Like I think I should maybe act on a couple less things, actually.
I was going to say, like, it's obviously your personality. But like even just like friendship stuff or hobbies, like even though like everything you hobby turns into like a career thing, like something more like, because like obviously you're good at like putting yourself out there and like starting the business, launching the product, but like is like, you know what I mean? Like there has to be like something personal.
Oh no, Lauren, I just hadn't gotten to that yet. I have something. That's what I'm saying. Like I was struggling so much with like, just, I feel like my life and like my friendships, like I just a couple of like really changed in the past year because of like extreme circumstances too. And also I'm 27. It's kind of like the age when that happens. And I take like change in relationships really, really hard. And I will internalize so many things and just, I'm very sensitive about it. So this book has helped me more to just kind of like let them think what they want, let them say what they want, and like let go of that. Like this book was actually very, very helpful for me in regards to like my personal relationships, I would say, over like something I want to do career-wise. And also just, I hate, like I don't want to be like living my truth, but like if I feel very strongly about something and like that is something that I stand by, like knowing like, no, I have to stand by that. And if I lose relationships, that's okay. Like that's totally fine. Like that is how they're gonna, like that's fine. Let them.
But that also like comes with age too, which is like, it's like a perfect time to like read the book. You know, it's almost like, that's why I think it's like cool that we're getting this knowledge like earlier on, because it's a lot of times you like don't realize this stuff till you're like 50 because you like actually don't care what other people think anymore. And so now it's like forcing you to do it early, which I think is great. But that's why I thought it was so interesting hearing like the older stories of like what she used to do before the let them theory. It's just, it was very humanizing.
Wait, what was yours though?
It's embarrassing, but like that's the whole point of the book, right? For the past like couple of years, to take horseback riding lessons.
Love.
I have been too embarrassed and too afraid of like what people would think, from like my friends to online to even just like the people at the horseback place, of like, who is this girl, like middle-aged woman, like trying to get into a new hobby. And like, I even like called like a horseback riding place, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago. And so like, I'm like so close to doing it, but I'm like, I keep telling myself, okay, I'm just going to do it and like literally not tell anyone. And then reading this book, it was like the only thing that I could really think of that's like a physical like thing that I like actually care for some reason what other people think about me. Cause like, I don't want people to be like, oh my God, like, you know, horses are trendy now. And like, you just want to be like other, but I just think it'd be like so therapeutic. And like, I like loved doing it. I did it in 2021. And so I was like, maybe like, that's what I just kind of like take out of this book too, of just like, why do I fucking care so much? Like I could look back in a year and be like, oh my God, I just spent the past 12 months horseback riding because I didn't fucking care. Or I could be having the same conversation 12 months from now, thinking about starting. You know?
Lauren, it is so crazy the things that you care about and that you don't care about. It is wild. Like that is a really beautiful sentiment and I'm really glad that you're doing that. It's just so shocking from like you would literally like post videos for like hundreds of thousands of people. I know it's like backwards, but also it is very therapeutic and you should do it. And I ride horses and I started taking lessons when I was like 2021 actually.
You live in Dallas.
I know, but people don't just like, contrary to popular belief, people aren't just like riding horses around here. Like that's not really the norm. So
no. Do you know that actually I live all surrounded by farms now? Like there's horses everywhere. So it's almost like I feel like it's like perfect. A sign. Like this is where I'm meant to be, you know?
No, that's actually really great. And I like that you're taking like a tangible thing and step from the book. Oh, I liked the point too when she said that the reason why friendships are hard in your 20s is because it went from a team sport to an individual sport and no one understands this.
Genius. Because especially when she said about how much time you spend with coworkers compared to literally anyone else in your life from age, like 21 to 60. And then she said that it's like the timing, proximity, but it was just so interesting. I've had the same friend since I was 14, but there was this shift when everyone started getting engaged, getting married, having babies. And like the group started splitting off like every few months, like differently because of like the timing of like what you're going through. And like, I remember like not being one of the first ones to get engaged and married and like being left out and they would like hang out with their husbands and stuff. And like me and the other girls would be like, what the fuck? Why are you guys hanging out without us? And like listening and I'm like, oh my God, it makes so much sense. And like, it's really not personal. It's just like, cause they're going through the same. And like, obviously I get it now. Cause like I have my mom friends and it's like, as much as I love my other friends, like they literally don't get it because they're not moms. So like, but it's not personal. It's not their fault. And I was just like, oh my God, like when your kids go in school, it's like you're back in that proximity again. Like she said, like you're with all the same parents all the time. I kind of got a little stoked. I'm not going to lie.
No, I loved what she said about friendships because it did make it feel like it's not personal. She sucked you out and it was like very big picture, which did make it feel very, I don't know, that was like freeing. Another thing I will say about this book, and this is something that I've just noticed about myself in the past year, just having the worst year of my life, is I've become so sensitive, just in general, honestly, to what people think about me. And I was never like that before. Like I've never thought about it in the way that I have until this year. And I think it's because I've never had like more conflict. So I think with the conflict, like something did that to me. So going back to what your original question.
You're also in like fight or flight mode and like your nervous system is like completely dysregulated. So you're like on edge, like you're like literally like living like this, like you're ready, you know? So I think it's like easy to be more sensitive because you're like in this stance, just like ready to go. Cause like you've just been dealing with so much that like, even if it's not personal, you're still kind of like, wait, what? but then everyone's like, well, no one's doing anything. Like, you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah. It's not even that I'm like I am fight or flight, but it's not that I'm like snappy. It's more so that I'm just like, I'll kind of like isolate a little bit.
It's not that you have an attitude. It's not like it's not like an actual reactive thing. It's like your actual just nervous system subconsciously is like in a state that it was not a year ago, you know?
Yes. Thank you to Dr. Lauren. Dr. Lauren MEL ROBBINS. No, what I've noticed though is just that I've cared to an extent that I've never had before. Like, I actually don't think that's really what my issue is caring people think. I think I maybe could have cared a little bit more at times, actually. Like, that was just not my problem. And now it's not as bad. This book has really helped, but it's contextualized it. That's what I mean by like, when I went into this book, I was like, okay, we'll see how like this goes, let them theory. Like, is this going to be an entire book? But that stuff is what I'll take with me and I'll like always probably think back to. Like, that in itself was enough for me to be like, this was actually a really great book, because I wasn't really thinking about it in that context and I wasn't really in like the right headspace too. Even though like, you know, the answers, you know, especially when it's like you've been in and out of therapy your whole life, you listen to all the podcasts, you read all the books, like, you know the answers, but sometimes you need things said to you in a different way. Like, it needs to be like brought to your attention and like served on a different platter, you know?
100%. Like, she like completely like took a concept and repackaged it in such a cool way. And I think I texted you, I think it's actually a great audiobook to listen to because it just feels like a podcast, or like she's like talking to you. It's not one of those like weird like narrators or something like that. I think it actually like gives it even more character. I definitely recommend it as an audiobook.
Another stat that I thought was really interesting was when she was talking about the breakups, and she said by the 11-week mark, 71% of people report feeling better. Like, how are they getting those stats? Would you agree with that with your breakups?
Actually, yeah, because I do remember, I don't know how they're getting these stats, but I do remember someone telling me that it's like around like 3 months is when the girl starts to feel better. And then around 3 months is when it actually hits the guy that they even fucking broke up. And so, like, you know what I mean? Like, they start grieving on month 3 and like, you're like getting better month 3. So like, you're just like totally on different wavelengths, which is why like men always come crawling back or whatever. So I have no idea where I got that information from. I just remember it from when I was in the thick of it. But I think it sounds accurate because like, that's like, you know, like when you kind of start being like, all right, like time to get going. What are you gonna do, rot?
Yeah. No, like, is your life over? I remember in high school, someone telling me that to get over a relationship, it takes anywhere from half the amount of time.
Someone.
They did say that too, but they said it takes anywhere from half the amount of time that you were dating that person to double the amount of time in the relationship. I was like, this is actually fucking crazy. What, you're gonna be graduated by the time you get over this.
I thought it was half the amount of time you're in the relationship is how long it takes to get over it. So if you were dated for a year, it takes you 6 months.
Lauren, that was part 1. Part 2, allegedly, is or double. So 2 years. I'm like, guys, that's crazy. Also, I'm like, that is why.
That just means you're a pussy. Sorry.
I was going to be like, and this is why we're at where we're at. Yep, absolutely. Okay, so a couple more quotes.
Literally get over it.
Let them let you. Let me. This is the first daughter's worst nightmare. Trying to control people and situations doesn't calm your fears. It amplifies them. Isn't that such bad news?
It's such bad news. Like, it's the opposite of what we want to hear.
It's actually the opposite of like our makeup.
You're telling me that everything I live for is for nothing? You're like making it worse? Like, what?
No, I'm like, every single thing, every single movement, every single desire, that's me. Like, that is my makeup. So that's like sick. That made me pretty sick.
Wait, read it again.
Trying to control people and situations doesn't calm your fears. It amplifies them.
So true, because like you're putting energy into the fear by trying to control it. So you're just making it bigger by like bringing attention to it. I guess makes sense.
It makes sense.
I'm in my fearless era a little bit.
I'm kind of in my fearless era too, besides like what people think about me, because apparently I care about that now. I don't anymore.
My thing is though, like if I'm in a good spot, I'm like, oh no. Like that means like these happy, like go lucky moods only last so long. So see you in a few weeks when I'm like literally voice memoing you crying.
On the closet floor. Oh, I liked this because it said that the problem wasn't me. It says the problem isn't you. The problem is the power you unknowingly give to other people. I liked that.
I like that a lot. Especially in the relationship, like the friends one, you know, how we were talking, like when it's like, you're like seeing things on social media or like, I don't know, like I always think about like you like see people like hanging out on social media. And it's like, if we didn't have Instagram, like we wouldn't even know that these people were hanging out without us. Like, why the fuck do we care? So, but I feel like you and I are good at like being like homebodies and like we like being alone. So like, I think that's what the biggest takeaway for me was, is she was like, you can't just like let them in and like isolate yourself. I was like, oh, really?
Are you sure?
No, like I'm actually okay. She's like, and then let you. I'm like, no, I don't want to do anything.
No, like let's leave it at let them.
I was all for the let them theory until she was like, now let me. I was like, well, fuck.
No, seriously. And then the let me like involved me having to leave my house. And I was like, no.
She's like, well, maybe you could like get your ass up. And I'm like, no. I was like, I thought she was about to tell me that I could keep ghosting people. I was about to be like, yes, like let them be upset that you didn't text them back. She's like, no, you should really. I'm like, no.
Finally, someone who gets me. And it just like wasn't that.
She's like, you're describing avoidance, and I'm describing like healthy relationships. So that was a big wake up call, but it did make me like, it made me realize I had to take like some accountability, but I don't have to give my power away in taking that accountability. Like I don't have to, like, you don't have to put all the pressure on yourself, basically. Like you can still let them like be responsible for your side of the street, keep your side of the street clean, and let them do whatever they want on their side of the street, but you have to keep your side of the street clean. And I don't like tidying up my side of the street, Kenz.
No, it's tough. It really is. Also, when it comes to like giving power to other people, so much of the power that we give to other people are made up situations. It's like things that you're projecting onto them, things that you think that they're thinking or saying. Like you don't actually know that to be true. So it's just so much wasted energy. And when I started thinking about like all of the wasted energy that I could use for like better things, such as like needlepoint and gardening, like that kind of like really connected with me personally. Or like going and getting a margarita on a patio. And like I don't have to like think about how these people hate me and are like out to get me. You know what I mean? Like that connected with me. Like I felt good about that one.
I also just like felt like it just like made me like, obviously I know how addicted I am to my phone. So when you say like gardening and like needlepointing, I'm like, yeah, like even just like thinking about like how much energy I'd like put in of like looking at what other people are doing on Instagram and like just like let them live their lives, like leave them alone, like go like live yours. You know what I mean? Like get up, like go plant a garden. Like why are you sitting on your phone? I mean, and it's not going to be a perfect recipe. I'm going to still sit on my phone, but still.
Okay, I'm going to like rapid fire the last few quotes and then we can just like please interject, okay? So anytime you internalize other people's thoughts, actions, and feelings as evidence that somehow you're a bad person or you've done something wrong, you just gave other people power and it shifts the dynamic and balance of the relationship you feel beneath them. That is my issue. It's because I connect it to like who I am and that is the problem, which I feel like we kind of covered earlier, but I love that.
I like the word evidence in that one.
I liked that.
I need evidence.
I need evidence. I'm an investigative researcher. That's actually what Lauren looks like right now.
Reporting live. No, I always say, I'm like, with my type of anxiety, like I need evidence. So like or else it's what if? Like I have no evidence to prove otherwise. And so like I gather evidence. I'm a very evidence-based person. Like show me. And if you should like tell me something you don't like about me, I'm like, oh my God, you've been collecting evidence on me.
Okay, last one. It says, the more you let other people live their lives, the better your life gets. Seems pretty obvious, but for some reason it's just not.
I mean, it's true, for sure.
Think about if we did control the whole world, Lauren. Like, it might be better.
I mean, let me tell you, we'd be just baking, cooking, horizontal,
sourdough everywhere,
chilling,
rotting,
free money. No one's got to go to work. It's all chilling. Daycare in the house. I guess that's what they call a nanny. I guess doesn't that just like say basically you're focusing on someone else when you just be putting that energy into yourself? Isn't that all that means?
I would think so.
But it's just like, I think that like, what if I don't want to let you live your life? What if I want you
to live life that I want you to live?
Then where do we go from there?
And that is my issue with the book.
That is the crux of the issue, Mel.
Yes, but I would say overall, I do think that this book has like really positively impacted my life. And I think it would positively impact my life at different stages. The way that it has hit at this stage of my life has been like the way that people perceive me. But I did really like the book. What would you rate it?
I'd say like 4 out of 5. I think mine is similar to yours in a sense of like, mine's more like comparison. So it is kind of what other people think about me, but it's also like how you said, like you're making it all up in your own head. So it's not like anyone's like saying anything to me of like, hey, I think you're a shit mom. But I'm like, oh my God, like comparing myself to other moms, like, am I a bad mom type vibe? So it was nice to like also like hear her anecdotes like as a parent. And I think I'd give it a 4 out of 5. But is that high?
I would say 4 out of 5. That's where I landed.
Because I also think like a lot of people need to hear it. And I don't think I'm maybe necessarily one of those people. I think I benefited from it, but like I'm not a lost cause. I'm on a higher level of like, I need more serious help. Like let them is not enough for me. Like I need it in my veins at this point. I'm not okay.
Yeah, I totally get that. I think also if you've been in therapy in your life, like these are just kind of like standard things that you learn like pretty early on. Like these are a lot of practices that they do teach you just in general. So like people who are like more therapized like understand this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm definitely overly therapized, but like that's what happens when your parents get divorced when you're in like second grade and you start going to therapy, you know?
Mine was like a court mandate. Like the court like actually made us go. Do you think that's true? Do you think our parents lied to us about that?
You know, I actually don't know. I think like sometimes it can be true, but I think that they're definitely, I mean, I remember even like my mom like lying when I would get in the car. I'd be like, why are you picking me up from school? Why am I not on the school bus? And she'd be like, I don't know. Boom, locks the doors. 2 seconds later, you're going to therapy.
Same.
Okay, talk about traumatizing. I was like literally trying to like escape a locked vehicle. But so like I wouldn't put it past the woman. I wouldn't. Maybe she lied. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree.
Let them.
Let them. So Lauren will be signing up for her 2 phones. Wow. That was a sight to be seen. One for the bitches and one for the hoes. Okay, so Lauren will be signing up for horseback riding lessons and I will be stopping caring what people think about me. Actually, no, I won't. I will be allowing them to think negatively about me. That's fine.
You're allowed to have an opinion. You're allowed to disagree with them, but like let them think negatively. Don't like put energy into stopping them. Like let them do it. Like it's only going to make you better. It's only going to make them like give you views, interact, engage. We love engagement.
We do. It's kind of fab.
That's what I keep thinking. I'm just trying to pay my mortgage. Let them talk.
Let them. Okay, Lauren, thank you so much for being our first book club guest when we're kind of bringing this back. I think we've actually done book club before together when I used to do it. But now this is
bigger and better. A fail.
This wasn't a fail though.
Do you remember the book we read? No, it wasn't, but I also was like definitely like kind of in a mood. Yeah.
Yeah, Lauren's like kind of in a mood today.
Well,
she's not really in a mood. She's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, let them. No, the book that we read like 2 years ago for book club was absolutely horrible. And we actually still send things about this author on Instagram. I don't know why I forgot that person because it was actually the worst book I've ever read in my entire life. I've never read a worse book.
Couldn't even tell you what it was about, to be honest.
I think that we redeemed ourselves, though. Thank you so much for coming on. I can't speak today. So anyways, I would highly recommend the Let Them Theory. I think it was really incredible. I think that we really took you into our lives and shared what we're taking for the book and how we're going to move forward from here as Dr. Lauren Mel Robbins Jr. And I will be Kenzie Elizabeth Mel Robbins III. I like that one.
Yes. I mean, if anyone needs free therapy, feel free to slide into my DMs. But you guys don't tell anyone that I'm going to start horseback riding. I'm like not like super confident in it.
No, Lauren, you have to let them think whatever they want to think. That's the whole point. The whole point of this episode.
Totally.
Lauren, I took horseback riding lessons. It's okay.
Did the instructor think you were a freak?
No, I'm actually very close to the people at my ranch. I talk to them all the time. They're like family to me. I'm living like my dream of like, I went out on this ranch and I knew I was coming in as like the city girl and they were going to think I was like so high maintenance and annoying and like bitchy and whatever. And I really had them warm up to me and they love me and we have a great relationship and I go there and they're like family to me. They call me family. They'll be at my wedding.
Okay, I'm inspired. Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you, incredible. Mel Robbins III.
Thank you. Okay, well, thank you so much for coming on the show, Lauren. Loved it so much. I'll FaceTime you later so we can catch up and gossip. Love you. Bye. Okay, y'all, it is time to announce our next book club pick. We are reading Ina Garten's memoir with Harrison Wallace. This is gonna be the most fabulous episode you've ever seen. Like, we're dressing up, we're making huge cosmos. I'm getting like the COVID Cosmo thing she had. It is gonna be like actually everything. Yes, I have read this book, and so is Harrison because it's that good, but I will be rereading it. I highly recommend listening to it on Audible because she narrates it herself. Anyways, literally the greatest book ever. I'm so excited. This is like so up our alley. Yes, I said we're gonna move to fiction. I lied, okay? Sorry. Anyways, Ina, love her, like literally so obsessed. So be sure to go download the book, buy it from your local bookstore, whatever, the library, I don't know, read it, listen to it. It's so good. This episode's gonna be amazing. So March 20th, we'll be meeting back on this channel or wherever you guys are listening to this podcast. Hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. I love you all so much and I will see you next week.